Hey, what's going on everyone? Craig here from Soundiron, and I'm super excited because today we are announcing that we've updated Axe Machina, and it's now built for the free Kontakt 8 player and NKS standard hardware. For this update, we didn't just make it available for the free Kontakt player, but we've added some really cool user interface features and just overall general improvements, and even added some articulations and features that you guys have requested. So you asked, we listened, we made it happen, and I'm super excited about how this turned out. All right, so before we start exploring some of the new things in this update, I thought I would show you a demo that I did for this library when we first released it, and then tell you why it's so cool that we've added some of these new things in here and why it makes this demo even better than before. So let's check it out, and then we'll start exploring it. Alright, so that's the short demo, and if you're curious what the music is, this is from my solo project that I'm working on. I have a second album that I'm hoping to have done sometime in the future, but if you're just curious of some of the original music that I write for myself, that is some of it. So, alright, so let's get into the updates. And one of the first things that you'll notice when you load up this library is that now we have a super cool fretboard visualizer. And this is something that we've been wanting to do. We did it in Bass Machina, and if you are curious of the bass that I'm using in this demo, it is Bass Machina. So it's really cool for me personally to have this guitar right here. This is the guitar that you see. This is the guitar featured in Axe Machina. It's a 7-string custom Kiesel, and this thing is just awesome. I love it. Ever since I've had it, it's my favorite guitar. And you can see the fretboard looks very similar to the one that you'll see in the UI. If you're seeing this bass behind me, that's the bass that is in Bass Machina. And that's another custom Kiesel bass, and it's super awesome. And it really goes well together with Axe Machina. I think they're just perfect as far as, you know, different virtual instruments that we have in the metal genre together. And the drums that I'm using in this demo too is also our knockout drums. And yeah, just having all of these instruments together, they all just work so well. So yeah, so this update has this awesome new fretboard visualizer if you want to see a little bit of how this looks. So it's just really cool to be able to see the notes being played on the fretboard, because who doesn't love a fretboard visualizer? I know I do. So getting back over here, we've recorded some new articulations for this. So we added some tapping, which is awesome, because if you're maybe not wanting some as aggressive picking, having the tapping is really cool. And also we've added this new auto hammer feature right here. And what's cool about this is that now, for all of you that were asking about being able to do hammer-ons and pull-offs, now you can do that. So you can just go from one note in real time, and it's really cool. And you can turn this on or off. You have this little dual mode section right here still. And you know, if you want to go back and forth, you got this awesome electricity graphic right here. You know, just why not? Why not have some electricity? Because this is an electric guitar. And then one of the other things in this update is we now have programmable slides. I recorded them in 3 different tempos, so depending on the velocity of this slide trigger key right here will determine how fast of the slide. So depending on the speed of the slide that you need, you can adjust the velocity of the slide trigger to achieve that. And then with this update, we've also added 8 different slots for the sequencer. Before it was just 1. So now it's really cool to be able to have these different slots that you can program, and there's a bunch of different things that you can do as far as changing the sequences. If you want to see the full breakdown of all these different features in this library, definitely check out the original walkthrough in this playlist. because you're definitely going to want to go a little bit more in depth if you're not too familiar with this library. But for those of you who are familiar, this will be a very nice and welcome addition, I think. All right, so going back to the main page, I want to show you some other little features that we've added. So if you're familiar with Axe Machina, you know that we have a hand position control right here, and we've added this to Axe Machina. So there's a lot of continuity between these two libraries. So, and really just kind of updating it to where it needs to be. So you can limit the range if you really want to have it focus on a specific set of notes. It allows you to do that. Also for the slide trigger key right here, you can change this to any other key you want. So right here it's usually on D0, but if you want to change that, you can do that easily. So yeah, that's really cool. And just, you know, having all these new features really helps take this library to the next level. And now being available for the Kontakt player, anyone can get it. So I thought for this walkthrough, we can check out a little bit of the MIDI for this demo. The reason I used this because there were certain things that I wanted that we didn't have in the previous version, like with the auto hammer and things like that. There was a pseudo hammer-on pull-off type thing, and it was good enough to kind of get by, but now that you have real hammer-ons and pull-offs and the ability to do slides, it just allows you to get a little bit more realistic sounds out of it. And so let's just check out the MIDI, and then you can also see down here I have an expression map that I made for this it works for Cubase. I'll put it in the link in the description below. So if you use Cubase and you have this library, you can just drop this in and it'll work. And it really makes programming with the different articulations so much easier. So let's just have a listen to this. So if you're not too familiar with the original Axe Machina, some of the articulations included that you can see here are some pick sustains, palm muted pick individual notes, power chord sustains, power chord palm mutes, pinch harmonics, and then with the new taps, it really just helps round out this library, because some people were saying, oh, well, you know, it's more of a rhythm type library, which it is. It's definitely a workhorse for crafting brutal guitar lines. But now with the taps, it really makes it a little bit more lead guitar friendly, especially if you're doing stuff where you need the notes to be a little bit softer because the attacks can be very aggressive. The pick that I used for this library is this Dava nickel pick, which is super aggressive, and that was for a reason. I did that very intentionally because this pick just has a certain type of attack to it that really cuts through the mix, and I think that's very evident in this demo because you can really hear that, especially with some of these fast, tight, sort of like 16th or 32nd note palm mutes. I'm using the DI signal for this. I have an amp sim that I'm using, so if you want to hear it just by itself, so you can really hear that attack even in the DI. And it just makes it to where you can really get super aggressive and to where you can, you know, just hear that attack even in the full mix. Because being able to have that attack, especially when you got heavy bass and drums going on, and being able to cut through the mix without having to do a bunch of crazy EQ is just awesome. So some other parts of this MIDI that I want to show you guys is where I utilize the auto hammer. And to do that, all you have to do is do it like a normal legato. So you can just drag over a MIDI and you can hear that it goes and performs a auto hammer, or if you're going from a high note to a low note, it'll be a pull off. And if you want to hear that in the context of a mix, so this just helps really make it a lot more smoother. And then you'll see that down here, there's this note that is triggering the string setup because I wanted all these notes to be on the same string. So this next little part that you're hearing that's on the right side, this is also doing some things with the string lock, and then a little slide right here where I'm programming this note. It's like that's a guitar player talk for riff. And then if you want to hear this by itself, and then I'm just locking in certain strings because the way the riff is played, certain strings are being used, and I really wanted to focus on that. So as a bonus clip in this video, I thought it would be fun to compare some guitars that I recorded. They weren't the best performance, but I thought it would be cool to showcase the same song with real recorded guitars and Axe Machina in the context of this mix. So let's listen to just the Axe Machina version. Now, for fun, let's listen to this with real recorded guitars using this same guitar. Now, the one thing that you will notice that's different in the real guitar version is that that note where it's playing those chords has a little bit of a slide in there, and with that, if I was to try to recreate that in Axe, I would probably have to use some pitch bend, but for this I didn't want to do that. So let's listen to it again. Now the real guitar. And then let's listen to Axe just by itself. Now the real guitar is isolated. It is funny listening to this now. Yeah, I know the real recorded guitars are a little bit sloppy and the performance wasn't that great, but I actually really like the sound of Axe compared to the real guitars, which is kind of crazy. It's really a great tool for doing pre-production, or if you're, like I said, you're a drummer or a bass player or just not a guitarist at all. Being able to have a tool like this, I think, is very awesome for just being able to realize some ideas or use it for pre-production or layer it with real guitars, that sort of thing. Even if you wanted to, let's hear it layered with some real guitars. So it could be a great layering tool as well. And it's just really awesome for me personally just to have this guitar in the box to be able to use on the road, or for giving it to you guys if you are a drummer in a band and you don't play guitar. Let's say someone gives you some MIDI, you can load up this library and program some cool guitar depending on whatever project you're working on. It's very suitable for rock, or, you know, not only just extreme metal or things like that, but rock or other types of styles. So it's really cool for me to be able to now have this in Kontakt Player. So for anyone who maybe doesn't have the full version of Kontakt, is not left out. We thought of you, but not only for the people who didn't have it for Kontakt Player, but also for the existing owners. Now you have some extra articulations, some cool new UI features, and, you know, now it's even better. It's even better than before. So, all right, so that's pretty much it for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Axe Machina or get it on sale right now, click the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.